If you want to add more acceleration to your forehand, then knowing how to use your body the right way is so important. In this video, I'm going to show you one of the easiest drills you can do at home to start working on your body rotation. The reason this is so important is because your body has big muscles. And when you learn how to use those big muscles and apply that force into the ball, what it's going to do is help you accelerate and hit the ball bigger, more consistent, because you're not using smaller muscles. The reason so many recreational players have trouble creating power and having consistency is because they're using smaller muscles. They're having to get tight to hit the ball. When you see the pros smoothly hit the ball with no effort. And the reason why is because they're using big muscles and they're using their body the right way. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how you can use your body better by learning how to rotate. And it's going to be a really simple drill. So the very first thing is, let's look at the pros. One thing I want you to watch is when you see the pros hitting, you see them getting in this position here, and what's moving first? They're moving their hip first, which takes the racket into contact. Whether you see them in the neutral stance, whether you see them in open or semi-open stance, they're constantly moving their hip first, which brings the racket into contact. This use of rotation is what accelerates the racket, okay? So the drill is really simple. I'm gonna put my racket down, put my arms out in front of me, and all I'm just gonna do is sway side to side. And what's really happening here is that I'm taking my hips and it's moving my arms side to side. In the process of taking my hips, you're gonna notice how my heels come off the ground, or my heel or my opposite heel comes off the ground. So meaning if I sway to the right, my left heel comes up, and if I sway to the left, my right heel comes up. And so this may seem a little robotic at first, but if you actually just relax, and most players probably go out and do some kind of stretch just like this where they're swaying, this is exactly what you want to do when you're hitting the tennis ball. And I'll show you how this relates. So we'll do this a couple more times. So from here, all you want to do is hold your hand up like you're making contact. And it may be different for you. Maybe you hold it out here, maybe you're feather straight, maybe you're a little bit bent. Doesn't matter. Now if I sway, look what's going to happen. Now, we're going to keep doing this a couple more times, but I want you to realize this. My hand hasn't moved. And the reason I can tell you my hand hasn't moved is because my hand is basically in line with my belly button. So I'm not doing this, which takes my hand off that line. I'm doing this. My hand's still in line with my belly button. And as I sway, so you can see how my hand's moving pretty fast without moving my arm. And that's the key. So now we're going to grab a racket. From here, when you grab your racket and you're going to do the sway, all you're going to do is go here. Again, haven't taken my arm back at all, and then here. Now, you may be saying, how am I going to hit the ball? Because it's going to go that way. I'll show you in 1 second. So from here, the difference is we've been swaying, kind of coming off my foot to this side. We want to keep our weight on our outside leg. So what that means is I'm going to keep my weight more over my right leg. So if I'm here and I'm swaying back, I'm going to sway into the ball. Okay, swaying back, swaying into the ball. Now this brings a point of controversy that I'm going to talk about today, which is, should I be rotating into the ball or past the ball? And it's a good point. I've seen on videos where players and coaches have told me like, hey Kevin, I've seen players and they stop at contact. And I'm like, oh yeah. But I've also seen players where they go slightly past contact. And here's the situation where I would say is really important to understand, is that A, one, you're rotating. B, it could be shot dependent. So meaning that if I'm going back, it's really hard for me to rotate and bring my hip past. But I've seen players, when they're moving forward, their hip moves slightly past the point of contact. And so it's really important when we're looking and kind of like analyzing shots, we also analyze what's the situation. Because you can look at Roger hitting, let's say, forehands. Maybe he's hitting a forehand moving back, sideways, maybe he's hitting a forehand moving forward, and you'll see different representation of how his hips might be moving. You know, sometimes he kicks his leg back and a hip doesn't even move as much as you think. It starts the swing, but it doesn't go forward. And then sometimes you see it moving forward. So there's a lot of variation, and to say it's just absolutely one thing for everything, I'm not going there. But that's my thought on the matter. Make sure you understand the context in which they're hitting the forehand. But here's the thing, with all the forehands, and this is what I look for, with all the forehands, you see some sort of rotation where they're pulling the racket forward, and that is key. Okay, so back to this rotation. When I'm pulling the rotation, I'm staying on my outside foot. So what we were doing before is pulling a rotation and coming off, or taking my center of my gravity and kind of going from this side over my right foot and then shifting it to my left foot. what I want to do is the exact same thing, but keep the center of gravity over my right foot longer. So as I take the racket back, I'll start here, take the racket back, I'm keeping the center of gravity over my right foot and rotating, okay? So I'm rotating into contact, and then after I make contact, I can then shift my center of gravity. So I'll do that a couple times, rotate, okay? Rotate. So it's still shifting, it's just staying longer over my right leg before coming to my left leg. So the drill we're gonna do now, after we have worked on our rotation and we understand we wanna keep our weight on our right leg, is I want you to actually hit off the right leg. And so it's really important for this drill, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and start the racket back from here. I'm gonna do one shadow where you can see me rotating my hip, and all I'm gonna do is swing, but make sure I keep my weight on this leg. So it's here, okay? So you can see how I rotated here. Now from here, what I'm gonna do is, making sure that I've already finished the contact, I can shift my weight. So it'll look like this, okay? Notice how the shift happens after I've made contact, not in the middle of contact. If I were to do this shift in the middle of contact, a lot of times that shift will pull my racket off, causing me to miss-hit the ball. So this is me pulling my weight off in the middle of the shot. So if you do get this reaction, this will probably be what's happening. You heard it, it's a miss-hit. Okay, so it's a miss-hit on cue, compared to keeping my weight on my outside leg, and then I shift after. And so that's important. You can also do this in a neutral stance. So basically, I'm taking my racket back, or if we were here, or having my racket back in this position where it would be, and all I'm gonna do is sway into the ball. Sway into the ball, okay? So I'm gonna sway into the ball and finish my follow through. And so you can see how this simple drill of just swaying side to side can really help your forehand and really help you learn how to use your body correctly and rotate into the ball. But if you want to know more about how to hit the perfect forehand, I have two videos for you. Either this one, which shows you how to hit the perfect forehand, or this one, which shows you what I learned from watching Djokovic hit a forehand. Either one's a great video for you to watch to really go through and nail down those other components for your forehand.